Yo, what's good, guys? We are back at it again with another tier list. This time it is the infielders. I tried to put every infielder in this game I would consider usable on this list for you guys. There are some budget options, but not too many. There's so many 99s in the game right now. Honestly, a good rule of thumb is if it's not a 99, it's probably not worth using. I tried to find some of the exceptions to that rule, but that is a good rule of thumb when you're picking out cards for your team. So, before we get into it, I want to thank you guys, all the support on the channel. The tier list yesterday went crazy already, and it's only been like 14 hours or something like that. So, I want to thank all you guys for that. Obviously, a tier list are some of the more popular content on the channel, so if it is helpful, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. We are going to keep them going. This probably will be the last for this season, but next season, there will be tier lists. So, let's hop into it. Hopefully, Showzone wants to load sometime today. There we are. Nice. Love to see it. All right, so we're going to start off with the best catcher in the game, Adley. Mauer has a debate, but I'll take a switch hitter over a pure lefty any day, especially when you are seeing John and Randy every game. Alex Gordon, I think this is a solid option at first base. I wouldn't run him over too many other cards just because he is a lefty, and if you want a pure lefty first baseman, I think there's better options by far than Alex Gordon, but on a budget, I think he can do the job. Although he probably has more value in the outfield, if we're being honest. Soriano, a card that I notoriously do not like his swing. He has not gotten worse, but everybody else at second base has gotten so much better than him that there's just no way he competes anymore. Santander, one of the budget cards I was mentioning. This card is more than serviceable at first base. Great switch hitting swing. Everybody at the start of the year used this card, really liked him. His stats are really good. If he had one more durability, he would be my first baseman on the God Squad or even the DH. He's that good. If he had gotten the durability boost, that card would be insane. Speaking of durability boost, Austin Riley, definitely an S tier option at third base. I haven't liked his swing as much as I thought I would, but he is still a very, very good card stat-wise and makes the Ripken team always a big plus. Not really something I'm factoring into this list, but always, a nice plus. Bobby Witt also makes the Ripken team, makes the Rollins team as well. Very good card, likes some power. Will, no matter what captain boost you run, he'll pretty much be either deficient against both or against one side. But in general, he is a very strong card. And he's a free card, right? You can't ask for too much more of a free card. Bo, a better shortstop option. Still not somebody I would call S tier. S tier is like top at their position or one of the top two at their position, in my opinion. And I don't think Bo is that. I think his swing's a little overhyped personally, but I still do think this is a very good card. The speed's really the only thing you can point to him missing overall on his card. Another card I'm not a huge fan of, Buck O'Neil. I'm just not a fan of him at first base. I don't think he brings the value, right? Out of a first baseman, you want a slugger. You want a guy that hits a lot of home runs. And Buck has great contacts, and it's going to make him very good on Legend. But if you're not playing on Legend, I don't know why you want Buck O'Neil necessarily. Just not really, doesn't have the pop that I'd be looking for. Correa, pretty much tied with Bo. Less contact, more power. Probably going to be a slightly better defender. They're very similar. Bo probably has a slightly better swing. A lot of people like Correa's swing, though. Those are very two similar cards. Utley, his time's kind of passed him up. I'd take him over Soriano, but not by a ton. The new Chipper Jones, very good budget option. Makes the shortstop team. I think a lot of his value is probably in the outfield, but I can't. Very good card. Still has all his quirks. If you put him on the shortstop team with Rollins, I think he's very good. But without that, I can't, in good conscience, put him too much higher, especially when I imagine most people, if they really like Chipper, they have the 99, they're wildcarding him. Really no place for this card necessarily, unless you missed out on that 99. Bellinger, S tier at first base. I think he is ridiculous. The defense is underrated. He's very tall. He snags a lot of line drives, which is really all I care about in a first baseman. I don't care about arm strength. I don't care about what shield they have, anything like that. But him just being tall and just stealing hits from your opponents is kind of nice. He's had a couple of those for me. And his swing's elite. He has hit great for me online. He's hit great lefty lefty online. There's not a whole lot to not like about Bellinger other than the quirk situation with him. Seager, I think, has dropped a little bit. He is still very good, and if you still like Seager, there's nothing wrong with him. So, simply put, the new Biggio, I think, well, definitely not S tier, but extremely underrated. As a catcher, I mean, people earlier in the year were making the argument that JT Realmuto was the best catcher in the game. That was simply never true. But this Biggio, not the best catcher in the game. But if you liked what that Realmuto brought to your team, this Biggio does a lot of the same things. Max contacts, decent power, like 90 power. It'll go if you put a great swing on it. Maybe not otherwise. Good defense. And, he's fast. He's very, very fast. Will probably be the fastest catcher in the game all year. So if you do enjoy that, he brings that. He's also okay at second base. I think at second base, he's probably more in line with these two guys, but still very good. Ed Matthews, he looks fine. I can't, in good faith, put him lower than Alex Gordon because I feel like as a pure third baseman, these are two very similar cards. Gordon probably has slightly better contact numbers, but not enough to where you'll see a huge difference. Edouard Julien with the durability team, you could make the argument for S tier. You could, in theory, call him the best second baseman in the game on the durability team. I mean, his stats with the Ripken boost are honestly crazy, and I don't see enough people talking about it. A lot of people really liked his card earlier in the year. This one is very similar to that. At second base, I think he's a great option. Any other spots that his secondary lets him play at, probably not so much. Ellie, obviously, best shortstop in the game by far. I don't think it's debatable. I haven't loved the card, but it's like a Mickey situation. He's just too good on paper, and he plays well enough. And by far, he's the best defensive shortstop, without a doubt. Longoria, a lot of people were salty about this one last time. We'll have to see how third base pans out. Maybe he can make the jump to bottom of A tier, but I don't really see it. This is a very good budget option. I think he's B tier. Lacks power a lot against one side, but has contact against both. Plays a good enough defense and is kind of fast. Very good utility guy. If you're struggling, if you're on a budget, he's a free card. Very good. Lindor, if you really like Lindor's, I'm not going to make the argument that this one's anywhere close to as good as his other card, but same swing, and, the stats aren't too much worse. Hurt, his time's kind of come and went. I can't put him below Buck. I mean, he's got very similar contact numbers to Buck with way more pop. I think I'd probably still rather have Frank over him, for that reason in particular. Gary, decent option at catcher. Maybe he can make the jump to A tier, right? All he does is hit. Contact numbers are a little low, though, for legend anyway. Hall of Fame, he'll be decent. Doesn't have the best swing in the world, but he's fine. Hank Thompson, top of A tier. Maybe as a center fielder, you could argue S, but even then, he's going to have less reaction because that's not his primary. Fits, I believe, the Rollins team. So with the Rollins boost, he is very good, obviously. Even without it, he's okay. I think he's fine. I don't think he's like elite, and I definitely don't think he's worth 300K. Ian Happ at second base is a very good option. His swing is extremely good, and he plays above his power by a little bit. Not a lot, right? You are going to have those swings with him where the ball just doesn't go, and you feel like it should have, or if it was anybody else, it would have. But in general, he does play a decent second base. Bootsy, Kinsler, very good swing, just underwhelming stats. Again, I've been doing this on past few tier lists. He is basically here with these guys. You can't really, these are all the same, like, power level of cards, I would say. All fine. None of them are great. Paredes, another free card. I do not like his swing like a lot of people do. I don't know how people do enjoy his swing, but the stats are there. If you hit fine with this Paredes card, then he's a great option and he's free. Jackie. I mean, if I'm gonna put Craig here, I gotta put Jackie here, right? They are very similar cards. I believe Craig has more power. Jackie is probably gonna play slightly better defense and be slightly faster overall. I think both of them make the durability team. Craig has value at catcher, whereas Jackie only really has value at second base or shortstop. It is what it is. They are very similar cards. Jackson Holiday with the Ripken boost, easily A tier. Without it, I think he's probably B. Just a little lackluster. And when you look at the other guys at shortstop, I'd rather have Bobby Witt. I'd rather have Correa. I'd rather have Jackie. I'd rather have Bo. He's not competing with those guys, so by default, I think he is the tier under them, but still very good. Maybe at second, he would be okay. This one's going to be controversial. Javi Baez has such a good swing. I don't know what people are talking about. And as you're about to find out, I do not care what his vision is. To me, vision doesn't really matter, right? I am, a top 0.5% player, top 50 player, World Series 1,000. I don't want to list off too many accolades. But for me, when I see low vision, I just lock in a little bit more. And that's not to say that it's easy. It does make at-bats slightly harder. But his swing is so good. The defense is so good. At second base, he is a top-tier option. Goes on the Rollins team. Gets even faster. Has a left field secondary. I mean, I don't get the hate that this Javi card got. I think he is still very, very good. Now, since I'm not defending him anymore, Jock, I think, is probably S tier at first base just because of how good his swing is. You would like to see his contact numbers be a little higher. But some people just absolutely rake with this Jock card. And if you are one of those people, I'm not going to sit here and debate that he's not S tier. I think his swing is good enough lefty-lefty to get by, and I think he absolutely rakes against righties. I think he's so good there. And I think that's truly where he has the most value. You don't really want him in the outfield. Mauer, second best catcher in the game. Only problem is you're going to be stuck lefty-lefty a lot. But hopefully that will lighten up after Randy is gone after this season. But Mauer will be too. So, kind of cancels out. Joey Gallo. Here is the vision argument. His vision's not even that bad necessarily. I'm tempted to put him in A, but I don't think I possibly can. This card's got to be absolutely disgusting. Have I used him online? No, but I have used his gold online. And recently, I grinded so much co-op on stream, off stream. Played a lot of co-op. Finished third on the co-op leaderboard last season. Played some good players. Played some bad players. Is what it is. But the gold Joey Gallo literally probably batted over 500 on Legend co-op. So I don't really care about vision. I don't really care about contact. When you have such a good swing like Joey Gallo does, such high power like Joey Gallo does, this card just plays. If you like Joey Gallo cards, this one is still very, very usable. And, I'm done defending the low vision cards. I don't think Posada's a B tier catcher because there's just other options. But I do think he's good. These 97s that came out in the low round of that pack are all very usable cards in my opinion for the most part. Very good card. Jorge obviously always has a very good swing. Altuve, I'm going to lump in with these other second basemen. I'm not sure who that was, but Showzone decided to delete them now. So if there was anybody you had questions about, pretend it's that person. Altuve, very good. Very similar to these other second basemen. I wouldn't differentiate him over those. J-Ram, this is why every other second baseman took a step back in tiers. It's because he's very good and Javi's very good. If Jose Ramirez did not exist, I would probably run Javi Baez at second base. Maybe not. All right, I know I defended Javi. We're going to move him down. Very top of A tier. I think he has an argument to be on anybody's God squad, especially if you really like his swing. I'm going to go grab the other second baseman I really like. I think these two guys are interchangeable at second base as the best second baseman in the game. Both switch hitters. J-Ram swings probably a little better. A lot of people will probably hit better with J-Ram. because he has more quirks. I think he has a slightly better swing. But for me, I love Ketel Marte. Absolutely love him. Has both of these cards have crazy positional versatility. You know, I think Marte's worth it for the Extreme program, and I think Jose is worth it for grinding Team Affinity. Two extremely good cards. If you have seen the previous tier list, you know how much I like this Josh Donaldson card. We'll see what other third basemen have come out recently if he is still S tier, but my gut reaction is that he is, for sure. Justin Morneau, if you want a left-handed first baseman and you need that higher contact that Jock does not provide, I believe Morneau's base contact is higher. I think he has better quirks than Jock has, if I'm remembering right. And he goes on the Ripken team. So if you're on the Ripken team, Morneau's an absolute monster. He is 125 across the board after like parallel 1, I think. I was platooning him with Austin Riley for a while, and he is extremely good, especially for like 20K. You don't get too much better value than that. This Justin Turner, absolutely hate his swing. Stats are kind of there. Has second base, has some value at second base, but I don't see it. The card's about to expire anyway. Just not really somebody I would prioritize getting. So I definitely did not add Kevin Kiermaier. I don't know where he came from. But Schwarber as a catcher, I'm tempted to put him S tier. With the Ripken boost, I think he is no doubt S tier. But I am ranking without the boost being active, so I think he's A tier. I think he and Javi are like those next guys up, right? If Ketel Marte and Jose Ramirez didn't exist, I'd be using Javi Baez. If Adley and Joe Mauer did not exist, I would be using Kyle Schwarber. Those are like those next guys, those forgotten guys, just because those other cards exist, it knocks them down a little bit. And same for Simeon. This Simeon card on paper is so good. Gets the Cal Ripken boost also, to where he's 125 across the board, contact-wise and clutch-wise. Probably the best defensive second baseman in the game, just stats-wise. And, I mean, it's crazy. This card is so slept on. It's honestly ridiculous. And if these two guys and Javi Baez did not exist, I think Simeon would probably be my pick. There you go. For his positional versatility, you could argue S tier. I'm going to put him top of A tier. The stats are a little lackluster. If you run the Rollins boost, then he is perfect. And he would probably be S tier at any position. His swing is so good. It is basically right-handed Lou Gehrig. And he is unbelievable. It's basically like a Jimmy Fox type of swing. If you really enjoy those swings, Diego is actually phenomenal. Way better than I thought he would be. Blew my expectations away. It's just on those high difficulties, he's probably going to need the Rollins boost. Without it, you are going to be at such a disadvantage contact-wise that you're probably going to struggle with him a little bit. But that could be offset by how amazing his swing is. His swing is very good. Matt Olson, pretty similar. I'm tempted to put him B tier. What other first baseman do we have here? Just Frank and Buck. Tier under that would be Gallo. Yeah, I would probably rather use Matt Olson than Gallo just because he has those higher contact numbers. With the Ripken boost, I don't think it's debatable he's better than Gallo. Without it, they are very similar cards, but I'd probably take Olson over him. He's got a lot of quirks, has a very good swing. I think a lot of people are figuring that out with the gold one that's in BR right now. Very good swing. If you give him the Ripken boost, I think he is a very strong A-tier first baseman. Without it, he's just kind of mid. He's going to struggle against lefties just because of the contact. Michael Young kind of looks like an S-tier option at first base. Or not first base. Shortstop. I'm just trying to think of what other shortstops we have here. We don't have one, do we? We have Ellie. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Statistically, behind Ellie, he probably is the second best shortstop in the game. For me, will he carry that value? Probably not. Traditionally, his swings are not very good. But yeah, I won't know until I try that card, and I don't know if I will ever try that card. For me, him and Bo are very similar. So for that reason, I'm going to drop them, actually. I think these two are basically identical, except one is half the price of the other. But you can earn Bo right now, non-sell. But new BR program comes out the day this goes up, so I don't know if you guys will even see that. Um, Piazza, on paper, very good catcher. I would definitely take Schwarber over him. I think I have to put him A tier. If you can make his swing work, statistically, he is very good. But that's the problem. His swing is god awful. And Schwarber will play better than him for 95% of people. Even though Schwarber has hit lefty lefty. So this Castellanos has some positional versatility, but he's going to be god awful on defense. Has a decent swing. Stats that probably won't blow you away if I'm thinking right. Max contact's kind of crazy. Max power's kind of crazy. I mean, he's good. He's just really going to struggle on defense. I don't think he brings you the power that you would want from a first baseman, but if you want to make that work, then you can make that argument. I think he is decent enough. Devers, without a doubt, S tier third baseman. If you use the gold Devers at the start of the year, if you use the charisma Devers at the start of the year, you know what to expect from this card. I have not used him. I can basically guarantee you he is the second best third baseman in the game behind Chipper Jones. This card is going to be absolutely insane. Does not qualify for any captain boost, but he does not need to. He's pretty much perfect other than the defense. This card's going to be absolutely insane. I don't know if he can play first base. If he can, that's even better. Yeah, as a first baseman, he's probably the best first baseman in the game right now. If I'm being honest. Like, that card is that good. You'll see if you put some parallels on him. He's max contact, max power, close, good enough power against lefties, max clutch, will be a decent fielder, and will be kind of, I mean, this card is going to be insane. He should be most people's picks for their World Series reward, for sure. Rhino, somebody I was grouping with those other guys, so I'm going to keep doing it, even though I think he's probably the worst out of all of those. Sean Murphy, notoriously absolutely hate him. He's basically Piazza. Slightly better swing than Piazza, way worse stat-wise than Piazza. Pick your poison. I think there's way better catchers to choose from. Stan Musial was a S tier for first base. I almost still want to make that argument, but looking at it now, I'd probably rather use Jock, and I'd probably rather use Morneau, and he's set to expire very soon. I still think he has one of the best lefty swings in the game, and obviously has insane amount of hitting quirks, but he is just so expensive, and not too many people even got him. Most people took Nolan Ryan. So for the rarity and whatnot, and the fact that I don't think anybody should go out of their way to get Stan Musial at this point, top A tier. This Trey Turner is going to suck. His swing is still very good, and his contact numbers are still pretty good, and he goes on the Rollins team, which would help his contact even more. But the power is going to hurt. There's going to be a lot of those swings where the ball just doesn't go, and it doesn't even go where it's supposed to. You're going to have those swings where the ball is like a weak pop-up into the outfield, and you're like, how is that? And you know how I know that? Because the 91 did it a lot for me. And that card was very good. This one is worse. He's going to do it way more often. If you're balling on a budget, I think he's a good option. Other than that, probably wouldn't touch him. Vlad, a lot of people are probably going to want this card in S tier. Yeah, I'll give it to him. As far as a righty first baseman, right? Mauer's lefty, Jock's lefty, Bellinger's lefty. The only competition he has in this tier is Josh Donaldson and Austin Riley, who are both primary third basemen. And so for that reason, I think he probably makes the cut as the only pure first base righty option I would consider running like that. He's just an upgraded Frank Thomas with a slightly better swing and a decent amount of quirks, I believe. Wander, unfortunate timing for my boy Wander here. Lacks power. He's going to be in that Trey Turner area. So, but he's a more complete card. I don't care. He doesn't have the power. If it's a little better than I'm remembering, then I'll bump him. No, it's terrible. Okay. Yeah. Swing's going to be very good, and he's probably going to be a doubles machine, and he's kind of fast, and he kind of plays pretty good defense. But that's a lot of kindas, and I feel like there's a lot better options to play shortstop. Really, no reason to ever run him over Jackson Holiday unless you need that switch hitter. With Merrifield, I can see the argument for this card being in B tier. Has a good enough swing and absolutely mashes righties. The problem is he's never going to hit a home run against lefties, but I think that's something you could work around, and you could definitely platoon him. Although that's going to be kind of weird to platoon a guy with inverse splits like that. I think if you want to make this card work, you can make him work, and he's a good option. I don't think he's too deficient other than the power. Uh, monthly card, William Contreras. I think he's a good option. Yes, I would rather have Gary Sanchez over him. So I feel like this is a good spot for him. Again, for a free option, you can't complain too much that he is at least semi-competent. So, Will Smith. Here's an unpopular opinion. I would take Will Smith over both of these catchers. Piazza's swing sucks. Sean Murphy's swing isn't good. I wouldn't call it a good swing. I would call it a bang-on average swing. And stat-wise, he sucks. I would rather take Will Smith, who is a cheap headliner worth like $20K, has basically the same hitting stats as Sean Murphy, and even has max power against lefties, and I know he has a great swing. For all you guys that wanted to defend JT Realmuto when I ranked him lower in the first few seasons, you'll love this Will Smith. He basically has Realmuto swing. If you were a Realmuto fanboy, and you're not running this Will Smith, then I don't know what you're doing. Because he basically has an identical swing to Realmuto. Will Smith is cracked out of his mind, and stats-wise, plays even better than his stats. Up until Legend, I see no reason why you wouldn't run this Will Smith. On Legend, he probably will struggle, but up until that point, he's absolutely amazing. Adames, I don't think he belongs with Correa and Bichette because of his deficiencies, but he's definitely top of B tier. This is probably the most underrated card in the game for me. His WBC card had a very good swing. I mean, look at these stats. That is slightly below average against lefties. That is slightly above average against righties. Average power and immaculate power against righties with max clutch and amazing fielding. The speed might hurt him a little bit, but think of him as like a Cal Ripken with a lot of power, basically. No crazy quirks, it doesn't look like, but, that's fine. This is the most underrated card in the game for me. I can't believe that I've almost never seen him online. That card's unbelievable for his price, especially. Wyatt Langford, probably the worst pick you can take out of the high round of that draft pack. But, if you want to argue him at third base, I think him and Castellanos are very similar. Casty's 100% got hit better, but he is a defensive liability, whereas Wyatt Langford is fast-ish. I think he's 89 speed super factored, which is pretty fast, and he should play decent defense at third. And Yandy, very good contact-wise. I really don't like his swing. If Buck O'Neill's A tier, then Yandy's A tier. I don't know why everybody loves this Buck O'Neill card and never even looks twice at this Yandy card. I think he's also very underrated, and he has a second base secondary. There's not going to be too many second basemen that hit better than him. So you're looking at basically maxed out contact. Good enough power against both sides. Basically maxed out clutch, decent fielding, and decent speed with some good quirks and supposedly a good swing. I don't really love his swing, but a lot of top-end players do like his swing when they do use him. So I think he is very good for that reason. Doesn't give you the power you would want at first base, which is why a lot of these guys are here, right? Frank has a god-awful swing. Buck O'Neill doesn't have power. Matt Olson doesn't have contact. Yandy doesn't have power. They're all deficient in something. They are not the perfect first baseman, and that's why they're here. So this is the infielders tier list. I am very happy with how this has turned out so far. Ellie, no doubter. Devers, no doubter. Rutschman, no doubter. Riley, no doubter. Bellinger, no doubter. Jock, you can argue. If you don't like Jock's swing, or if you think his contact is too low to play on Legend, which his clutch is max, so that's kind of offsetting that. Then I would hear that argument. Joe Mauer, very good. J-Ram, not even debatable. Marte, very good. Josh Donaldson, I would listen to arguments for, but I think his swing is too good. And if you do end up putting him on the Rollins team, then I think he's way better than Morneau, Vlad, and Jock. So that's without even factoring in that he makes the Rollins team. And then this is the rest. There's arguments to be had. The ego with the boost is probably S tier at basically every infield position and outfield position. Without the boost, you could argue him at B tier, to be honest, depending on what difficulty you're playing on. Other than that, I don't think too many others are controversial other than Javi. I think Javi's probably S tier card, but the consensus seems to be that he sucks for some reason. And yeah, that's about it. If you guys enjoyed, that is the video. That is the tier list. Leave a like. Leave a comment. Maybe I missed a card. That's fire. I didn't really look into outfielders that had infield secondaries, probably because there's not too many. The only two I really could think of was Soriano, Santander, and I guess Alex Gordon technically has one too, so that's like three. Esquiel Duran also, so I guess I have four on here, but in general, I didn't really think of them too much. I guess Gallo and Casti. I guess there's a couple. There's more than I thought. But if I thought a card was viable, I put them on the list for the most part. And yeah, guys, that's gonna be it. Outfielders coming soon. Stay tuned. Till next time. Peace.